longer crank, steel crank, really welded. Got one here, but it's offset a little bit too far on the outside, so I could probably get it in a bit closer. Which will hopefully improve the efficiency of the pedaling a bit. What I've made here is a jig. And I started the whole thing from a steel crank. This one here bought for under £5 at Halfords, UK. So it's a steel crank, plastic coated. What I'm going to do really is chop it off around about here and remove the plastic coating, so that I'm left with the machined part here. Reduce the steel bit in the middle and then weld a longer crank on. At some point I reused this end bit here by cutting it off and trying to weld it in, but it's probably better to use an M12 nut and tap the thread in straight from the beginning. So on my jig here, made it adjustable, just 2 screws really, 2 bits of wood screwed together, and then drill the hole in here that's slightly smaller than the diameter of the old crank that I've got on here, the bottom bracket. Ooh, good. So the idea is that once this is cut off here, that I can fix it up on this end, adjust the height with these bolts here so that I get the right height, and on this end it'll be sitting so that the crank remains straight. Slight problem that you can twist this thing a bit, so it isn't as sturdy as it looks, but it does the job, or has done so far. Okay, excellent demo. So there you are. So if you want it longer or shorter, maybe slide. You can unscrew these to slide the thing to and fro. This is just a bit of bracket for walls, and bolted this one on here at the bottom, so that it's relatively straight. The final sort of getting the crank to be straight, not wobbly, and the pedal not to be in or out, is something that you can do after you half manufactured it. So for starters, have to chop this thing off, prepare it, and using a bit of got left over. This is a 1x2 or 25-50. Marked it up. I don't think it. Okay, shows up a little bit. So it made this about 7mm lines from there. So chop these bits off and then weld the end caps back together so that it forms. Is it visible? Yeah. A new box section really, only just have about 1 inch wide, and this one is about 12mm, but you can make it about 14. This is 1.5mm steel. I've used 2 for the other side because I had a bit of box section, a 1x1 box section left over. But that's probably all the ingredients you need. Using some screw-on pedals that I got from Wilco for tenner, and that will help to line up at the final production stage. be a lot of noise now, and I'll update you in a minute. Alright, we're back again. I've taken its coat off here. It's a bit too bright, I think, from the outside there to see it properly. Anyway. There you go, plastic coat, and the actual end bit of your crank there. So this here, to machine it will be quite complicated, too complicated for me. This end here, I'm going to drill some holes in it, hollow it out. I'm going to reduce the grinding down, reduce the amount of metal here, just to make it a little bit lighter. Working, probably. To show this here. So this is a bit that we made earlier. This is the end bit of the box section. Making a new box section of about 14 millimeters by 25, and that will sort of fit in here at some point. So what I'll do is I'll reduce the weight of this one first by grinding it down, drilling some holes, make that hollow, make the end bit fit, and then I'll fit it in a jig, or probably like so. Make a weld here, drill the hole there. We'll see it in a minute. Back again. Too much light, maybe not. So you can see it's still a bit warm from the grinding. It's hollowed out here by drilling some holes, and these sides have been reduced a bit by grinding them down. I've left this connection here because most of the forces will be like that, and with the pedal on that side like that, so we're wrenching this way really. So I've left a bit there, grind off a bit more there. Saved about 40 grams, if it's worth it. Back again. This time I'll just show you the other side, because you're stuck with the spider here. You can't really cut that one as short as I did the other one. But that's the idea a bit. Put a weld on here. I'll mount the thing in the rig in a minute. So this one here actually cracked. My welding gave up. That's the drive side. Alright. Okay, what I've done, I've mounted the left crank there off my bike from here on here, and the light is not good. So I've mounted it so that I can measure the distance to the surface from the back of this crank here. As you can see, I probably made it slightly bendy stand up because I thought there wouldn't be enough space, but as it is I can go 5 millimeter closer to the frame, so lower. So I'm going to lower this nut here that actually appeared to be just about 5 millimeters below the current setting. Now this thing is at the moment is a bit offset, so I've got to release it again at the top here, straighten the thing out so that it's straight, and then mount the new bits for the new crank. There you go, one jig. Back again. The thing mounted in my jig. But hopefully this being the right distance from the frame. I had to sand this down a bit to get it down a little bit more, just sticking up too much. So hopefully it won't be too straight that it will catch my ankle on it, but we'll have to see. ready for welding then. So one weld coming in there, and the other one to welding that nut on here. So it's a 12mm nut drilled out on this side here, and it's secured with another nut on top. So that later on they'll drill it out to 13mm, near enough, 1/2 inch, and then tap, or 3/4, then tap the thread in there with the little tapper I got from eBay. One jig ready to go. Back again. Make the internal welds here. Doesn't show, yes. Probably not very well, but that knot and the internal weld on the other side here. Then this question of fitting the top half of the box section on there, and screw it down. I have to file this hole out a little bit to get it to sit snug. No matter, we'll finish that later. The sides here, put a little line over here. I can drill a few holes there to attach it on this side, drilling through to a weld on the outside all the way around. Weld the seams up. I drill a few more holes there to attach the nut that's sitting inside. That nut has also been drilled out at 12mm, so the whole thing will be able to come off. And then as I said, it'll be finishing work. Got a small little hole there as I was welding, but that will give me a nice indication where to drill another hole on the side here to attach that nut a bit better. Back in a tick.